Hey everyone, welcome back to our Bible study series. Today we are diving deep into Genesis chapters 9 and 10. These chapters show us God's covenant with Noah, the importance of honoring others, and how the nations of the world came to be after the flood. Let's walk through these powerful scriptures together. Part 1. God blesses Noah. Genesis 9 opens with a blessing. After the flood, God blessed Noah and his sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." God gave them authority over every creature, and for the first time, He allowed humanity to eat meat. But He commanded them not to eat blood, because life is in the blood. Then God established a new standard of justice. Whoever sheds human blood, by man, his blood shall be shed. Because man was made in the image of God. This shows us how valuable human life is to God. Part 2. The Covenant and the Rainbow. Next, God established His covenant with Noah, his descendants, and every living creature. He promised never again to destroy all life with a flood. Then God gave a sign, the rainbow. He said, "I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it'll be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." Every time we see a rainbow, we are reminded that God is faithful and keeps His promises. Part 3. Noah's Vineyard and a lesson on honor. Later, Noah became a farmer and planted a vineyard. One day he drank wine, became drunk, and lay uncovered inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness and told his brothers. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, walked backward, and covered their father, showing respect. When Noah woke up and learned what Ham had done, he spoke a prophecy. "Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants he shall be to his brethren." Then he blessed the Lord, the God of Shem, and prayed that God would enlarge Japheth and let him dwell in the tents of Shem. Lessons from Noah's Vineyard. This story teaches us about respect and honor. Shem and Japheth protected their father's dignity, while Ham dishonored him. It reminds us to honor our parents and leaders, as Ephesians 6:2 says, "Honor your father and mother." It also reminds us to practice self-control, because Noah's drunkenness left him vulnerable. Part 4. The Table of Nations. Genesis 10. Genesis 10 is known as the Table of Nations. It lists the descendants of Noah's sons and how they spread across the earth. Japheth's descendants became the coastland peoples, many of the European and Asian nations. Ham's descendants included Cush, Mizraim, and Canaan, the ancestors of the Egyptians, Ethiopians, and Canaanites. Shem's descendants became the Semitic peoples, the ancestors of the Hebrews, Assyrians, and Aram. We also meet Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord, whose kingdom included Babel, Erech, and Akkad. His story leads us to the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11. This chapter shows that all nations and peoples have a common origin and are part of God's plan to fill the earth. Conclusion. Genesis 9 and 10 remind us of God's mercy, His faithfulness, and our responsibility to live with respect and honor. The rainbow still reminds us today that God keeps His promises. The story of Noah's sons reminds us that our choices can impact generations, and the Table of Nations reminds us that we are all part of one human family under God. In the next chapter, Genesis 11, we will see the Tower of Babel and how God scattered the nations by confusing their language. Stay tuned for that powerful lesson. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more in-depth Bible studies. You can also follow us on social media for daily devotionals and more. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Bible. May God bless you, and until next time, remember to walk in the light of God's Word. Now let's look at some frequently asked questions about this lesson. Question 1. What is the significance of the rainbow in Genesis 9? Answer. The rainbow is a symbol of God's covenant with Noah and all living creatures. It reminds us that God will never again destroy the earth with a flood, and that He keeps His promises. Question 2. What lesson does Genesis 9 teach us about respect and honor? Answer. Genesis 9 teaches us the importance of respecting and honoring our parents and leaders. It also reminds us to practice self-control. Question 3. What is the meaning of the Table of Nations in Genesis 10? Answer. The Table of Nations in Genesis 10 lists the descendants of Noah as sons and shows how they spread across the earth after the flood. It teaches us that all nations and peoples have a common origin and are part of God's plan to fill the earth. Question 4. How does the story of Noah's sons affect us today? Answer. The story of Noah's sons reminds us that our actions and choices can have an impact on generations to come. It also teaches us about the consequences of sin and the importance of making wise decisions. Question 5. What can we learn from Nimrod in Genesis 10? Answer. The account of Nimrod in Genesis 10 reminds us not to put our trust in human power or wisdom, but to acknowledge God as the true source of strength and guidance. It also foreshadows the coming judgment of God on human pride and rebellion, as seen in the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11. Question 6. Why did God curse Canaan in Genesis 9? Answer. Canaan was the son of Ham, who showed disrespect toward his father, Noah. As a result, Canaan was cursed to be a servant of servants to his brothers, Shem and Japheth. Question 7. What is the main message of Genesis 9 and 10? Answer. Genesis 9 and 10 teach us about God's mercy. They remind us that we are part of a great chain of humanity that traces back to Noah and the creation of Adam, and they prepare us for the coming judgment on mankind in the next chapter, Genesis 11, at the Tower of Babel. We hope this has been a great resource for you. If you enjoyed this lesson and want to continue learning more about the Bible, check out our other videos. You can find the link below. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next adventure.